6-4 is about rational exponents. There's no difference here than what we've been doing. It's just they write it differently. Like the third power, or like 216 to the 1/3 power, is the same thing as getting the third root of 216. Again, punch in your calculator, you end up with 6. So again, it's understanding what the roots are when you have a fractional exponent. B, again, when you're adding like bases, or multiplying like bases, you add their exponents. So again, that ends up to 7 1/2 plus 1/2, which ends up giving me 7 to the first power, or 7. What about if we're going just straight, put them into radical form? Okay, well, the first one is x to the 3/7. Again, always the denominator is your root, and the numerator is your exponent. So x to the 3/7 power becomes the 7th root of x cubed. Okay, there's that one. Now, so with y to the negative 3.5, well, 3.5 as a fraction is 7/2. So I'm going to put y to the negative 7/2. Well, a negative exponent, all that does is move it to the bottom. So y to the 7/2. So you end up with 1 over the square root of y to the 7th. Now let's reduce y to the square root of y to the 7th. Again, remember, there's a miniature 2 out here. Okay, so 7 divided by 2, and again, you can look at it here anyways, it's 3, so we end up with 1 over. I could pull 3 y's out, and what's that leave me? 1 left. Okay, I'm sorry, no, 7, that should be a y. Okay, so we have y cubed, the square root of y, and we're good. And again, that's just kind of it in radical form. You should kind of get rid of the radical, but I'm not really worried about that right now. Now, working with these radicals, or these roots, you put it in simplest form, it's easier to do them into fraction form. So the 4th root of x cubed is really x to the 3/4 power over, and the 8th root of x squared is really x to the 2/8 power. We've talked about properties of exponents before. When you divide, you subtract your exponents. 3/4 minus 2/8. 2/8 really, let's make this easier. 2/8 really just reduces to 1/4. 3/4 minus 1/4 is 2/4, which is really just x to the 1/2 power, which reduces to the square root of x to go back to radical form. Problem 6 talks about what is each expression in simplest form. We have a power outside of parentheses, so it's going to really go to everything, but let's make this a little simpler. Negative 8x times xy to the 1/2 power. Again, putting it to a fractional exponent kind of makes life a little easier. Goes to that, goes to that, and it goes to that. So what do we have here? We have negative 8, and make sure it's in parentheses, to the 2/3. We have x to the 2/3. And then we have xy, half times 2/3 is 1/3. So you can go ahead and simplify. Remember, when power to a power, you multiply. It's one of our exponential rules as we go through there. Now, I would go ahead and distribute this, make it easier. So we get negative 8 to the 2/3. Punch in your calculator. You get positive 4. You get x to the 2/3 here. There's nothing to do yet with that. And then x to the 1/3 times y to the 1/3. Now again, multiplying like bases, you add your exponents. So 4x 2/3 plus 1/3 is 3/3, or x to the first, y to the third. Now that's fine, but understanding we don't usually write it with fractional exponents, so that's 4x cube root of y, and you're done. Either one is probably all right though.